Well, here we are at the front of the grid at a very wet, cold and rainy Snetterton. It should be a really exciting race. We've got Tony Wells and James Littlejohn, the victors from yesterday, on pole position. So let's see if they can manage to hang on to their title. Very little in the point standings at the top. So let's see how they get on for this final decider.
Thanks very much, Lucia. Everything to race for then in the final race of the year for the Dunlop Radical UK Cup here at persistently drizzling Snetterton, back where it all started. Seems like a very, very long time ago. We were here on the 10th of March and now it's the end of October. And who is going to be champion? They've got 40 minutes of racing ahead of them, and this is how they line up, with James Littlejohn in pole position. Alongside him, Alex Capardia relishing the damp conditions. Then Malhaus and Colin Noble row 2. Now the title battle is between James Littlejohn and Tony Wells in that white and blue number 3 car, and Colin Noble, who is on the outside row 2 in the multicoloured car. They run in different classes, Littlejohn and Wells in the Masters class, Noble in the Supersport class, and they need as good a finish as they can possibly get in each of their respective classes to see who is going to be the champion of 2012 in car, with Colin Noble to get ready for the rolling start, looking for those red lights to flash out, and they'll be racing here at Snetterton. As the lights, they're on, they go out now, and away we go. And it's a great start from Malhaus and James Littlejohn and Zach Chapman, as you'd expect in the more powerful SR8s. But it's Littlejohn who turns into Richard at the head of the field. Then Malhaus, Zach Chapman, Alex Capardi, though, disputing that with him around the outside at Richards, accelerating onto the Montreal hairpin. The cars kicking up the spray. So it's Littlejohn from Malhaus and Chapman, then Capardia from Colin Noble. Also trying to price as well, there was Charlie Kent, we caught a glimpse of. Bradley as well, the number 6 car, showing strongly in the early stages. And Jamie Stanley too, going very nicely as they all accelerate out of Palmer on towards Agostini, and Zach Chapman looks to, rather Charlie Kemp looks to make the move on Alex Capardia. Can he do it? Colin Noble gets it all crossed up, going to Agostini and slithers wide. Through goes Jamie Stanley. And this is not what Colin Noble needs. He wants a steady run through to the flag. Bradley Ellis also picks his way past him on the way into Hamilton, and then accelerating towards Oggie's part of a sequence of 2, almost interlinked right-handers. There's the second of them, Williams. Already the 3 leaders breaking well clear of this fight that's brewing up in the Supersport class. We've got 4 or 5 of the Supersport cars running very close together. There is Roger Bromley. I haven't seen much of Roger this year in the Radical UK Cup. He's been racing rather in the Radical European Masters, and he is at the moment in broad battle with Philip Jeans. So we see Jamie Stanley challenging Alex Capardia, this for the Supersport class lead. Jamie Stanley looks around the outside at Brundle, then to the inside line at Nelson. Through he goes, and Bradley Ellis also looks to follow in his wheel tracks. Ellis in the car with the green nose cone, the rest of the car being black and yellow, so he moves second in the Supersport class. Capardia now under threat from Noble as well, and Noble looking to the outside of Capardia as they turn through Coram Curve on to complete the first lap of the race. And Noble thinks about jinking to the inside of Capardia, but you can't really overtake in tomorrow's. Instead, it's all about setting up for the acceleration along the centre straight. Here is Colin Noble, then we're riding car with him, as powering past us is Roger Bromley, running in one of the SR8s. Also jumping to the other side as well, Philip Jeans. And the Masters class cars, the SR8's really a bit more powerful than the Supersport cars, the SR3's in a straight line, but through the corners, SR3 arguably a little bit more nimble as Noble dives to the inside of Philip Jeans, and there's a slight hint of contact there, and Jeans goes around. Colin Noble continues though. And that very much, I think, just something that happens when you've got these cars bunched so closely together in the early stage of the race. It's got James Abbott homing on his tail, and also Andy Wallace as well. Andy Wallace, who needs no introduction, of course, as one of the Jaguar heroes from Le Mans back in 1988. So Brown Williams go the leading trio. It is still being led by James Littlejohn from Manhal Alos and Zach Chapman. Then we have got up and showing very strongly Charlie Kemp in these early stages. Jamie Stanley also progressing well. So there is Colin Noble. Really, he needs as good a finish as he can possibly get in this race, and that should be sufficient to give him the crown. As Jamie Stanley defends from Roger Bromley. Bromley makes the overtaking move though into Brundle and Nelson. Bromley vastly experienced in these Masters class cars. He raced with Sean Balfe in last year's championship with considerable degree of success, as we've got problems there for Bradley Ellis, and Bradley going very slowly. He must have had a slight mistake possibly coming out of Nelson, because he seems to have got back up to speed okay through the bomb hole, but he has now got Bromley and Jamie Stanley over his tail. And Jamie Stanley looks to the outside of the corner of curve, and he's going to have the inside line for Murray's. So he goes through. Whether or not he'll be able to hold that along the centre straight, I rather doubt. And yes, there goes Roger Bromley almost immediately, but Jamie Stanley certainly having good sport. Bromley also looking to make the move on Bradley Ellis into Riches, but around the outside, Bradley Ellis finding the wet line and maintains the place. It's Bromley anxious to continue his progress up through the field. Bradley Ellis outbreaks himself, possibly into Montreal, finds some traction to the outside the corner, but nothing doing. So Roger Bromley gains the place over Bradley Ellis. Ellis, though, has been such a star this year in the Supersport class. He and Andy Cummings coming to Snetterton this weekend on the back of a double victory. Donington Park's right in car with Colin Noble. Replay, and unfortunately just misses his breaking point. And off he goes with Alex Capardia. Now that is going to be a real problem for Colin Noble, because he has to recover as quickly as he possibly can to stand an opportunity of claiming the crown here, particularly with James Littlejohn romping clear ahead of the field. Now Littlejohn himself isn't in title contention, because he has sat by the wayside for some of the races this year to give Tony Wells the best possible hope of claiming the crown, and at the moment circumstances playing very nicely into Tony Wells' hands. Roger Bromley at the moment trying without a great deal of success to shake off the Supersport cars of Bradley Ellis and Jamie Stanley. Good to see Jamie showing so strongly. He and Chris Headlam have had a season of frustrations, generally getting involved in other people's moments that have really delayed them along the way at pivotal points in the year, and they would like to sign off with a class podium. Bradley Ellis and Andy Cummings, well, they would like to sign off with yet another victory in the Supersport class. So over the line, another lap reeled off. Roger Bromley not really pulling away. You can see how agile the Supersport car is through Riches. Bradley Ellis, great deal of commitment as well from the former British GT champion. He is being followed by another former British GT champion, 2010 British GT4 champion, Jamie Stanley. And this fights the wheel out of Montreal, sprints towards Palmer, the left-hander. You can see very slightly cambered to the inside of the road. It does give the drivers a great deal of confidence to really attack the corner, for they then accelerate on to Agostini, as meanwhile ahead of the field, this is the race leader, James Littlejohn. And Littlejohn streaking well clear ahead of the field. Now, if you're new to watching Dunlop Rescue UK Cup, you wonder who James Littlejohn is, well, you probably have seen him driving before, because he was actively involved in the Olympic closing ceremony, where he was one of the truck drivers during the fashion segment, along with several other racing drivers who you can regularly see racing around UK circuits. As still taking the fight to Roger Bromley is Bradley Ellis. Bromley, well, he's able to use the straight line advantage of the SR8 along the Bentley straight, but then through Brundle and Nelson and the bomb hole. This is when Bradley Ellis will get right onto terms with Roger, and really starting to put him under a little bit of pressure again for that position. So through the bomb hole they go. The bomb hole, one of the very few corners here at Snetterton that wasn't significantly altered when the track was rebuilt over the winter of 2010 into 2011. This coming to the end of the second season of operation for the Snetterton 300 loop. There's Matt Hallos in second place and Zach Chapman in third. This being Chapman's first full season of radical racing, and he's been an absolute revelation here. Matt Hallos have been wheel to wheel all season. There is Colin Noble recovering up through the field. He is onto the tail of Jennifer Ridgway. Father and daughter combination, Graham and Jennifer Ridgway making the step up at Donington to the Radical UK Cup. Hopefully they will be in the category next year. Another battle for relative newcomers here. We've got the number 17 car of Jake Hughes, and he is in pursuit of Steve Burgess in car 48. Steve Burgess, who is graduating up from the Performance Direct Radical Clubman's Cup. He's showing the car this weekend with another very quick driver from that category, Ben Dimmock, and he is having a nice battle at the moment with Jake Hughes. The pair of them work around the hairpin at Montreal and then sprint on towards Palmer. Colin Noble continuing still to aim to advance his way up the order. He needs every point he can possibly get from this race, as he has the recovering as well. Philip Jeans picking his way past him into Palmer. They accelerate on towards Agostini. You can still see these are really tricky conditions for these drivers as well. Very, very greasy. It's just persistently drizzling, and that is Bradley Ellis who comes past us. So I wonder if Ellis has had a problem off camera, because he was well ahead of Colin Noble. He is working his way up through the field. So I don't know whether he's had a quick spin, as he was last sighted battling with Roger Bromley, but he is now clearly not suffering any mechanical ailments and surged past Colin Noble. So Bradley Ellis charges on to the Bentley Straight, so does Colin Noble and Jennifer Ridgway. It's a good opportunity for us to take a very short break from the action. Join us in a couple of moments' time as the season finale for the Dunlop Run UK Cup continues here at the soggy Snetterton.